Hello, beautiful people. It's your girl Rocqi, your revolutionary hippie from LifeIsRocqi. Please subscribe and help me grow my channel. All right, so today on Becoming a Feminine Woman series, I'm going to tell you all about how I words. Let's get some water. I'm going to tell you all how I manifested my dream man. So, yeah, I was watching the Fresh and Fit podcast, and they were like, women are terrible decision makers because we think emotionally. Now, I'm an Aquarian. I also had a very close connection with my dad, who was very logical. And I'm just naturally very logical, so I have the ability to be emotional and logical. Very fascinating for my male life partner. But I was making some bad decisions in high school. And after back to back, and I'm talking guys who put me down, guys who cheated on me, guys who disrespected me, disrespected my father, fucking leaked my pictures and shit. Not even leaked. Purposely put it out. Like, I was like, by the end of senior year of high school, I was like, all right, some gotta give. Because obviously, common denominator is me. And I keep making some fucked up choices. So I need to get it the fuck together and change. Because I need to make better choices. Now, mind you, this was in 2010. So what was going on that year was Steve Harvey just came out with his book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. And I said that was my Bible and I was reading it. Now, mind you, that book was like for 30-year-olds, like my age now, but I was reading it at 18. Because I was trying to, that chapter, Men Respect Standards, Get Some, that's when I wrote my list of standards, okay? Now, let me clarify, I'm different as a woman. Probably because I have more logical connections. But like, I think differently. I'm also just different. I'm also a therapist and whatnot. So I think differently. So a lot of women have standards that are not going to be equal to what I have. And that's because they're superficial shit. They're shit that doesn't actually matter. And this was like, this shit, these are my non-negotiables, right? So, yeah, like, I needed to make some changes. And I also took my dad was teaching a leadership class with Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Tongue twister, more water. But yeah, so this was a time where I was growing with myself. My self-awareness was raising. I would also say the quality of your questions determine the quality of your answers, ladies. Identify those red flags. Respect your own boundaries. Like a whole bunch of shit. Growth work needs to happen for you to make better choices in who you're dating. Because you are allowing them into your life. That is your choice. Okay? You don't have to allow everybody who walks up to you on the street and asks for your number into your life. You could also approach. Check out the link in the description box below where I talk about it on my podcast. It's So Real podcast. Subscribe and check that episode out. Ladies, shoot your shot, and shoot your shot part 2, the approach. But yeah, so I was like, all right, I gotta figure this shit out. So I wrote a list. So my first number 1 standard. So these were my standards I created at the end of high school because I was making bad decisions in men and I wanted to choose better. My first and foremost standard, non-negotiable. Well, actually, side note. There were 3 that were just to be considered because, I wasn't in a college environment. So these things needed to be considered. 1, you don't do any hard drugs. 2, you don't sell any hard drugs. I was also against marijuana at this time, but college quickly changed that. So yeah, you don't do hard drugs, you don't sell hard drugs, and you have not been to jail because that's not my cup of tea. Like, I understand if the system was like, these children. I understand if the system was unjust against a black man. I get that. But black men be going to jail for all sorts of reasons. And I'm not a ride or die for all of them. Nope. So those are my 3 for just like what is your backstory on your life? I also didn't want a guy with kids, but that wasn't on my list. But I was trying to hold out for that. Like, I was like, if I can meet a guy who doesn't have kids, that would be great. But I knew at some point I may have to open that up. But as a teenager, I damn sure, like, put a condom on. The fuck? Anyways, so, okay, so that out of the way. Now my standards. So it's 6 standards. They changed a little bit, and I'll explain as I'm going through them. But for the most part, they've kept true to the time that I created them. So the number 1 standard, first and foremost, non-negotiable, is he has to respect me. He has to respect me physically, emotionally, verbally, mentally, spiritually, sexually. He has to respect me without a doubt. And like, as when I was a teenager and I was telling my friends that was number 1 on my list, they were like, well, duh. And I was like, no, it wasn't well, duh. Because I was accepting disrespect from these boys. And I needed to tell myself that no, I should not be allowing any man into my fucking life if he does not respect me. And you can also peep that from how he approaches you, ladies. Again, there are multiple episodes to come in the Becoming a Feminine Woman series, okay? I'm going to put y'all on game. But yeah, I had to notify myself. I was like, listen, he needs to respect you. Case closed. If he doesn't, bye-bye, you know? And I was able to pick that up later on, too. Because I was like, whoa, we not arguing and shit. Nope. That's not happening. So there was that, number 1. Number 2, and this is specific to me, it won't apply to everybody. Number 2 is he needs to stimulate my mind and be tenacious. So for me, I always identified as a sapiosexual as a teenager, like since I was a teenager. It's changed now because now it's like associated with ableism. And I'm like, listen, I need to have a stimulating conversation with you. I understand that knowledge is achieved outside of college education. I understand that neurodivergent people can also have stimulating conversations. I understand that there are different types of intelligences. Like, I get all of that. I just need, can we talk about it? You know, like, can we connect on that level? And then also with tenacity, like, I need you to be doing your own thing. Like, have that drive and want to be acting on in your own goals and your own dreams and stuff like that, right? So that was my number 2. Number 3 was effective communication. This got honed in the older I got, the more experience I got with men. Because my 2 boyfriends in college, they did suffer in this area. However, it was more than what my high school boyfriends had. So that definitely got ramped up as I aged and experienced more guys. And then number 4 is, at the time it was shared interests, and then it transitioned to shared values. As I realized shared values are a lot more important than shared interests. Like, sure, share a few hobbies, enjoy your time together, but shared values meant a lot more to me because, like, my values are everything. And, like, that's how I operate my life. So I need to understand that you are also operating your life the same way and that we align in that, right? So the fact that my partner and I are both eco-friendly because we both value this planet, we value nature, we value earth, we value animals. Like, that's something that I wanted to align with. And I didn't even write that shit down. That was one of those boxes he checked off that I didn't even ask for, but it sure is nice. So yeah. Number 5, we're on 5 now. Number 5 is a healthy self-esteem. Because in high school, I had been with guys that were cocky. No, not doing that shit again. And I had been with guys who were insecure. Definitely not doing that shit again. Because then I got to cater to your insecurities. Like, that's your work, dude. Like, I need somebody who's confident in themselves, secure in themselves, and one, confidence is sexy as fuck. And then, yeah, that's your work. Your insecurities are your own. That's your stuff. That's not mine. So the fact that you are working on yourself to feel like I have a healthy self-esteem about yourself, that's important to me. And then the last one, number 6, was trustworthiness, which included at the time honesty and faithfulness, as that's the biggest thing to a relationship, a healthy relationship. And again, link in the description box below. On our It's So Real podcast, we do a healthy relationship series, so I will tag what is a healthy relationship episode in the description box below. Again, please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, LifeIsRocqi, as well as the It's So Real podcast YouTube channel. But yeah, that, like, I didn't understand dishonesty. It seemed like purposeless, like you're just being selfish in that and taking away my choice, which is ultimately taking away my consent, which I don't fuck with because that's not respecting me, you know? Now, as far as faithfulness, I am polyamorous. Faithfulness does exist within polyamory outside of polyfidelity, and it looks like just being committed to you, like, and loyal to you. Like, you don't have to commit to monogamy to commit to me. And some people may be lost in that, but that's a different episode. Yeah, just be committed and dedicated and investing and pouring into me. It's not only, but make sure you're doing that. Yeah. So those were my 6 standards at the end of high school. And because of that, I started choosing a hell of a lot better. It wasn't, in high school, it was a choice from the good guy or the bad guy, and I was often choosing the bad guy. But once I made my 6 standards and I made my list and I started choosing better, then in college it was like, well, shit, they're all good guys. So now what I do? How am I supposed to find the one? How am I supposed to figure that shit out? They're all good guys. They're respecting me. They're communicating with me. They're stimulating my mind. They have healthy self-esteem. We have shared values. Sometimes, well, shared interests more so then. But that's when it developed to shared values, which again, it could happen. And then trustworthiness was there too. So it's like, yeah, they're all meeting my standards. They're all good guys. How do I decide? So towards the end of college, maybe middle to end of college, I developed my core values. And this is what I decided. Okay, first I identified what would be a healthy relationship, what I would want in a partner, what would be my non-negotiables, what's the bare minimum. Now it's like, what is specific to me? What would bring happiness to my life and love to my life and make my life better? What is specific to me? It doesn't really apply to anybody else. Some people may align with this, some people may not, but this is specific to me, your revolutionary hippie, okay? So I came up with, at the time, 5, but I've added another, core values. And I figured it out with my ex, who I also wanted to marry. And there was only 2 men in my life that I ever wanted to marry. My current life partner and my ex. And my ex and I, we had individual growth to do, grew apart, stuff like that. Wish him well. But yeah, I figured it out with my dad not liking my ex. And I realized I no longer cared about my dad's approval because my ex was most similar to me. Out of all of my boyfriends, he was the most similar to, like, me, personality, beliefs, values, that kind of thing. He was the most similar to me. And the fact that my dad didn't like him meant that he didn't like me. And I was like, okay, I no longer need your acceptance or approval. My man doesn't have to be who you want him to be. He has to be someone I want for me because I'm spending my life with him. And yes, my dad and I differ on values, beliefs. He differs on me speaking my truth. He differs on me cursing. Like, we actually are at no contact at this point in time because he's too controlling over my life, and fuck that. So that's a different episode. But yeah, I realized that then, and I was like, I need someone who's similar to me. To, like, yeah, I want to spend majority of my time every day life with someone who's similar to me. So, with that being said, these are my 5 core values. And then again, I added one later, like just recently, and when I was experiencing women. And yeah, I'll let you know that one too. All right, so number 1, an intellectual. Like, that shit's really important to me. I need mental stimulation. Like, I'm a logical processor. I'm always processing. This is why I'm able to go into practicing therapy. That's why I'm transitioning to happiness coaching. This is why I have this channel and I'm sharing all this knowledge and lessons and strategies with you all, is because I think fucking differently, okay? Like, my intelligence is high and existential, natural, logical, yeah, a lot of pattern oriented stuff. But yeah, so let's talk about some deep shit. Like, I was always dabbing off the deep end in conversation. I do not like surface level. I do not like small talk. Like, nah, let's talk about some real fucking shit from the jump. That's how I am. So that's huge for me. Not everybody's like that, but that's huge for me. So that was number 1. Number 2, artistic. I'm a revolutionary fucking hippie. You see my fucking room? It's art all over the place, okay? And I'm a painter. I'm working on my photography. I'm also a poet and a novelist. And, like, I'm an artist myself. So I need that spirit. And it's not even the actual act of creating art, but more so the mentality. Like, artists, we're free spirits. Like, we don't want to be in no damn box. Fuck conformity. Like, we're free, you know? And it's like, I needed that energy. I needed that spirit. And boy, does my life partner have it. It's so beautiful. He's a musician. He plays the keys. He plays the drums. He's learning the guitar. He produces. He's a beautiful artist. And I love his music. I love being able to be in his artistry as well as his free spirit and his out-of-the-box nonconformist thinking. Again, values we align on. Yeah. Now, as far as, because again, I'm queer and polyamorous. As far as my woman, intellectual, without a doubt, I need. Artistic, it doesn't have to be in musicianship and it doesn't have to be in writing. I was thinking about another writer when I was younger, but I was like, I write by myself. It's not something I collaborate with someone on. So honestly, where I see her artistry coming in is more like fashion oriented jewelry, but not like a high femme, like a hippie. Dancing maybe. Yeah, but I'm open to whatever her artistry looks like. But yeah, I would like her to be artistic too. All right, number 3 on my core values is conscious. And when I say conscious, I mean you are dedicating your life to giving back and helping improve Black America. Or, I mean, some part of the diaspora, but Black America would line with me, because that's what I'm trying to do. And I mean, like, yeah, you're dedicating your life. So that means buying Black. That means, yeah, you're doing something to help the community, like, actively, whether that's your side hustle, your profession, what have you. Like, that's your goal, your purpose in life. People talk about it, but it's another thing to walk this fucking walk, you know? Like, I got Black art surrounding me. My landlord is Black. My roommates are Black. Where I work is majority Black. My clients are majority Black. Like, I barely experience white people. My bubble is Black. So, yeah, like, I'm committed to the shit, okay? To bettering my community in terms of also pouring money into it. And to the point, like, even jobs and shit. Like, I will wear my fro on the first day and people are like, don't you want to get in the door? No. I don't want to work for somebody who doesn't want me to be Black, because I'm Black. Like, and I made the decision post grad school. I was like, I only want to work in Black practices. Like, that's how committed to this shit I am. Okay? So I would like somebody who's as committed. However, I did find that previous to my life partner. And he was also patriarchal. That misogynoir shit. And that wasn't flying with me at all. no. And I realized it was different levels to this shit. So yeah, that shit don't fly. And then the fourth thing is spiritual. I'm not religious at all. I don't want somebody who's religious. I'm not raising my children religious. They will know about them, but we don't, because that's box thinking. We're not doing that in this household. We're spiritual. And like, I would like someone who aligns with my spiritual beliefs, and I believe in Mother Nature, the universe, energy, yin and yang type of thing. Yeah, like as a lot of the Eastern philosophies, but I'm also open. I'm not tied to anything. I'm just, yeah, it's spiritual. So I would like somebody who aligns like that. And then the fifth one, and this one was the last one within undergrad. The fifth one was a big kid. And I would like to thank my former best friend and ex from undergrad because they gave me permission to be a big kid. Like, they were hella playful and goofy, and it was just okay. Like, I think a lot of times, especially when we're younger, especially with previous generations, like, adults weren't allowed to be playful. Like, yeah, we got responsibilities, but fuck, I don't gotta forget what it was like to just not be stressed and responsible all the time. Like, can I have fun? Thank you. Even though my definition of fun has changed as I've aged, but still being playful and goofy is, like, huge for me. And that's my life partner and I both are hella playful and goofy. We be having a blast. And it's like, yeah, that was big to me. To the point that I needed to put it on my core values. Now, the sixth one that I added to my core values that only happen as I've been experiencing women is a commitment to growth. And that's because I realized not everybody is committed to growth. And that's something I desperately need. Because I'm growing. And if you're not, this ain't gonna work. You know? So those are my 6 standards and my 6 core values that I used to manifest my dream man. As far as my dream woman, it's that plus some. I'm not gonna go into that today. But yeah, so if your standards look similar to that, you may be doing all right. If your standards are hella superficial, like height, finances, even kids, shit, the older you get, the less options you got. And then, yeah, shit just, that doesn't matter. Like, y'all gotta check your standards. Because again, do you want a man or not? Like, you really gotta know yourself, have the self-awareness to know yourself and what you actually need. Not want, but you actually need. And then also, who are you? Who the fuck are you? And do you want somebody similar to you? And what does that mean? Like, what are your values? And this is stuff you got to think about when you're intentionally choosing someone to be allowed into your life, especially on a life partnership type shit, you know? So think about what your standards are. And then I love it because I'm a leader to a lot of my friends in growth. So what I did with my friend, I just came from seeing her, and I had been telling her, I told her my standards, my core values. I told her to write a list. I told her all this. But it wasn't until I was over her house one day, and I was like, all right, let's write this shit down. And she wasn't even writing it. She was cooking, and she was telling me what she wanted, and I was writing it down. I was like translating it for her. And then she interpreted her own and rewrote it. But yeah, and I was writing out her list, and she was like, she literally manifested her dream guy who she's now with. And she was like, basically, everybody needs to listen. Because apparently it works. You know? But it's you gotta be true to yourself, not your ego, not your defensiveness, not your trauma. Like, it has to be coming from a healed self-awareness within yourself and your spirit. And, like, you know yourself enough to predict what you need in the future. You know? And I'm glad she found him too. She said he checks all of her boxes. I'm just saying, shit works. And my man is amazing. He checks more than my boxes, like, that I can even imagine. And then check out my previous episode. What's that episode called? Oh, I think like a high value man. Check that episode out. Because then I'm talking about how what I want from a man is different from what I want from a woman. And as I've been experiencing women, I've been able to distinguish that more. So check that episode out as I explore what I want from a woman. And how I was expecting it from a man, realizing that that's not his natural capacity to give. And he's doing other things as far as like being able to provide for us. So, yeah. Check your list. Check your standards. And then really sit with them. Be honest with yourself. Let your ego go. That's going to be a separate episode. But manifest your man. And yes, ladies, I did shoot my shot with my man. I slid into his DMs. That's how this shit happened. Okay? I'm just saying. But all right, take care of you, beautiful people. Light and love.